Sound Healing Sundays. I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have to get started with our week and started with our day. So thank you for joining me here this Sunday. Of course, every Sunday I do a quick, conversation. We do our journal prompt and then we get into our sound bath. And for this week, I wanted to talk about the feeling of being stuck. I know I have briefly kind of promoted the fact that I'm going to do a 12-week wellness coaching program with a few women that is going to tie around establishing goals, personal goals, whether emotional or relationship, business, professional, health, fitness goal, whatever that is. I'm going to encourage and support 5 women through that journey. And a lot of, feedback that I get from a lot of people that are feeling stuck in their goals is that they don't know what the next step is. They don't know what that looks like. And a lot of that, honestly, the conversation that I feel like people have in their head are surrounded around fear, a lot of limiting beliefs. And so for me, it's about exploring what those limiting beliefs are, because when we talk about manifestation and law of attraction, it might sound crazy to a lot of people because in their mind, it isn't attainable. It isn't realistic for everyone. And it isn't because not everyone has the mindset or the capability to create the mindset it is to establish a goal that they want to accomplish. For a lot of people, they've already told themselves, well, I'm not good enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not athletic enough, I'm not creative enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. They've already created a story around what they can't do, based on a narrative of what other people have conditioned them to believe. But you have people like Muggsy Bogues. I don't know why he was the first person that came to mind, just because he's a short NBA player. But like, you have people that say, despite the odds, despite the statistics, despite what people tell me what I can and cannot do, I'm going to have the tenacity and the veracity to do whatever it is that I want to accomplish, despite what people tell me what that looks like. It's just a matter of how do I map that out, and not limiting myself to a timeline of what that looks like either. Because for me, when I ask people about their goal, I ask what their intention is. A lot of the time it is because they want to share a gift or talent or give back in some way. And so if you're sticking to that intent, you are never not accomplishing your goal along you progressing with that goal, right? If you have a goal of establishing a business or whatever the case is, and you don't necessarily have the capital or the finances to complete that, that doesn't necessarily mean that you couldn't put steps in place to establish that goal by doing things that are realistic, like mapping out what that goal may be. Excuse my dogs, I apologize. Somebody must be outside because they are just going ham. So I apologize. But it's just a matter of how do I break that goal down a little bit further, a little bit more in detail, and making what seems unrealistic realistic for me right now where I'm at presently in this moment, right? I can sit here and envision this big grand scheme of things, but what would it look like before that? What would the journey look like getting to that goal? And so a lot of what I do is goal mapping and allowing people to kind of connect with the process of the journey as well before just jumping to the end game of the goal, because enjoying the process along the way is just as enjoyable as achieving whatever that goal is. Like I said, if your purpose is to give back in some way, if you are doing incremental steps along the way, you're still enjoying the process because in some way you're still feeling a need to people around you. It doesn't have to be a crowd of 30,000 people. You can sit in a room with 3 people and 1 or 2 people walk away with something. Are you not achieving your goal when you say I want to help people, even if it's that one person, right? So I want you to think about one of your goals in this moment. What is one of your goals that you feel stuck in, your solar plexus? Think about what goal you feel stuck in. What limiting belief are you holding around that? And then I want you to map out that goal into 3 steps. So say your goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. What is the limiting belief around that? I don't have time for the gym. I don't have time to work out. Okay. let's break that down into 3 goals, right? You want to lose weight, and maybe you want to lose the 20 pounds, but you feel like you're going to lose the 20 pounds in 2 months or something like that. If you don't have the time, because I understand that there are barriers, we can't act like the world is all magical. If there are barriers, then let's be realistic about the timeline of that goal. Maybe with that, you can only lose a pound a week, and it takes a little bit longer versus you cranking it out at the gym so you can fit into that bathing suit for summertime type thing. So it's about being realistic about what are those steps that I need to break down a little bit further. Maybe I need to look at my nutrition. Maybe I can walk a little bit more at work and increase my steps. Maybe I can consult with my physician to make sure I'm not having any health issues that I need to rule out as well. Because a lot of the times we think, we're getting everything that we need nutrients wise, and we're not. And those might be creating barriers with how we're absorbing our food. So something to consider. So I want you to go ahead, map that out. I'm going to go deal with them for a second. I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to go ahead and, like I said, what is that goal? What is that limiting belief around that goal? And then break that goal down into 3 steps. So if you've seen some of my shorts and some of my other videos, Amina is my cane corso, and she is my guard baby. And if somebody was walking past the backyard, so yes, she will definitely tell me when danger alerts. So that's my baby. All right. We were journaling about what is a goal that you have a limiting a belief around. What is that limiting belief? Why do you feel like you can't accomplish that goal? And then we're going to break that goal down on what are 3 smaller steps that it would take to achieve whatever that goal is. Because sometimes, again, we see what the big picture is. It creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of rumination. We feel stuck. It causes us inaction instead of action, right? We come up with all these ways of why it won't work, and then it engages in action. And so breaking it down into smaller goals to make it more realistic helps it be more attainable, because not everything is going to happen all at once. It might take some steps to getting to that goal. And so just breaking it down just a little bit more. I don't know how long they're going to stay quiet because it's a nice Sunday morning. I don't know why they're so fussy. But my goal is to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm not even thinking like, oh, I want 1 million. I want this, that, the other. I just want to start out with my 1,000. And that limiting belief around that is, don't nobody want to hear what you got to say, girl. Right? That's a lot of reason why a lot of people don't promote their business or don't, post content or do things like that. It's just like, who wants to hear what I have to say? Like, everybody got something to say. Everybody has something they're going through. Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But what is your experience? And how do people connect with you? Because the thing about it is, if you're authentically being yourself, it doesn't matter who shows up, because I don't want a bunch of funny people kicking it around me anyway. So my 1,000 gonna be strong anyway. So another fear around that is me feeling insecure around that, getting more feedback and criticism, which I think there's insecurities to that around perfectionism. And I don't have to be perfect. So if I'm making mistakes, it's okay to accept feedback and criticism, as well as understanding the intentions behind some of it. Like, it depends on delivery. And I am very good with constructive criticism and feedback, but sometimes people's delivery online, their intentions are hurtful. And I have to have the emotional bandwidth and resiliency to realize, like, those that matter don't mind, those that mind don't matter type thing. Kind of like recognizing the disconnect between people in real life and the people that are online, and knowing intentions behind words that people say. So breaking that down into smaller goals, making sure that I'm doing my consistent efforts, doing what I've been doing in these past few months, posting consistently for the last few months with the sound bath, because that is something that I want to continue to share with community. I want to start doing in physical locations. So this started online to, one, grow an audience and like bring awareness to it, but also I want to bring live events to people so they can actually experience the bowls. I promise, if you could actually experience some of these steel bowls. It feels amazing. And so I want to actually do live events in person. And so this is kind of like that was one of my then smaller goals into bigger goals. So now we're looking at the bigger goal, and it's to do live events, which I have started doing and want to continue to do on the regular basis. And so explore different ways of engaging. I think different audiences have different needs, especially when it comes to mental health and holistic wellness. Just keeping things like that in mind. And then also just continue promoting and marketing with branding. I have such a lazy mind, and you can probably see it. I have such a lazy mind about marketing and branding, because I am so much about authenticity, about like just get the message, like get the intent. All the fancy razzle dazzle, it's eye catching and it gets you to stay and engage, but I feel like, man, what is the message really? And so I try to be more clear about my message and get that across first. All right, so we'll finish up the journaling and we'll go ahead and get started. If you want to go ahead and get comfortable, lay on your mat, close your eyes, get relaxed. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and go ahead and get in a relaxed state. So healing fam, if you want to go ahead and take a couple deep breaths, again, in through your nose, out through your mouth, you can reacclimate to the space. You can get up at your own time. I hope you have a restful Sunday. Again, let's tackle this week. Let's tackle our goals. And let's release that limiting belief. We don't have to feel stuck, okay? Again, I appreciate you being here with me this Sunday. Again, I'm here every Sunday, 8 a.m. It used to be 8 p.m. Now it is 8 a.m. Live on YouTube and TikTok. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe. Again, I do the sound bath meditation. We journal a little bit. We talk about it a little bit. And then I also have Healing Not Healed on Thursdays, where we talk a little bit more about other mental health and social justice issues. And so, again, I appreciate you being here with me this Sunday, and